Now, I do believe we're live. Are we live, Michelle?
Yes, ma'am.
We are live. Good morning, everybody. Oh, it's story time. It's story time. But before we talk about the story that I'm going to tell you today, I did ponder, because we have a variety of stories. We have some that are in the books, and we have many that are not in the books. And I know that I've told you stories. Excuse me, I've got an itchy nose. Does this mean I'm going to be vexed today? I don't think so. I'm not going to allow myself to be. So I thought, I've already told a couple of stories that were in the books. When I talk about the books, for those of you who don't know, the books that I personally have written. And I thought, I'll tell a few stories that you've never read. But then my daughter called me yesterday asking me, is there a parcel? Did a parcel come? And so on and so forth. And I'm thinking, well, it's not my birthday for a couple of weeks. So I said to her, why are you sending me a parcel? You've got plenty of time. So she said, well, it won't come in time. I said, well, you've got plenty of time. She said, it's Mother's Day on Sunday. And I'd forgotten. So I thought, you will find this story I do believe in The Eagle and the Rose, but I will try and tell you a little more, a little extra. And as I'm telling it, it's always good to hear the author tell the stories anyway, read out the stories, because it just sort of makes it a little bit more personal, a little bit more sort of satisfying, I think, anyway. So let me see now. So as it's Mother's Day, I'm so sorry, I've got this itchy nose. I've got the fan going on above me, so that's not helping at all. But anyway, so as I tell this story, or just before I tell this story, I do want to confirm, because I know that some of you think that these are stories that I'm making up, or I don't know how you think I would make them up, but they are, all of the stories I will tell you at story time are true stories. They are all stories that happened either to me personally, or they happened to me as a medium recounting for other people. So in either way, it is my experience. It's either my experience that I'm having on a personal level, and I was actually today going to tell you a story about the Superstition Mountains, and but that will have to do for another week. It is Mother's Day. We are celebrating Mother's Day, and I couldn't think of a nicer story to tell you than the story of the little girl and the tiger. So shall we get to it then? Shall we get to it, Michelle? What do you think?
I'm ready when you are.
First of all, I would like to say hello to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who, as always, is on my right side. Thank goodness he is, because sometimes he reminds me of things that I might have forgotten. My puppy Cachorro is in the corner. He's done. He's out. He didn't eat his breakfast today. He was sick twice yesterday. I don't know what's going on, but he's all nicely curled up now and sound asleep. And Michelle is here with us, sort of remotely. Say good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, everyone.
And when we have finished with the story, she's going to read out your questions and comments for me. So you'll have plenty of time, hopefully, to make a comment or maybe even to tell your own story for us. So here we go. We're going back a long time. I'm trying to think that my book, The Eagle and the Rose, was published in 1996, I think. So that's, how many years ago is that? That's 24 years ago. 24 years ago. And the story is even older than that. There are so many times that people come to me for consultations, and they're looking for what they might term proof, what I would call evidence. They're looking for evidence that that what I'm saying to them is real. Because I'm not one of those people who will just simply say, oh yes, I can see your mother, or I can see your father, and so on and so forth. I like to have the detail, and it's in the details that where we get the evidence, or where we get the proof that what we're saying and what we're doing is actually real. When you see somebody have that moment of how did she know that, or well, how could you possibly tell me that, and you know then that they start to understand that the information that's coming is not coming from me, it is actually coming from their loved ones in the spirit world. And when I look at my clients sometimes and I sort of see them have that aha moment, that epiphany of what it's real, and even those people who believe in what I do, and even those people who know me, when you see them being given that piece of information, and they how did she know that? How did that happen? It makes me smile, because the spirit world always does have that way of sort of giving that little tiny gem, that little piece of information that even if you don't absolutely accept that it's real, it makes you stop, it makes you think, and it makes you think that things are possible. In fact, sometime over the last couple of weeks, I had occasion to be talking to a lady who simply wanted to talk to her husband and nobody else. It'd be nice if somebody else came through, yes, but really she wanted to talk to her husband, and the first person who came through to talk to her was her father, who really, they had such a bad relationship, and he was such a horrible father to her, mean and spiteful, and always putting her down and always saying awful things, and she was never good enough for him, etc. And so she sort of was confused. What is he doing here then? But again, it's that little piece of evidence, it's that little piece of information that you simply didn't expect, and here it comes. So this story is about that little piece of information, that little gem. And because it's Mother's Day, I thought that I would tell you a lovely Mother's Day story. So many years ago, or because my grandson may be listening, once upon a time, as all good stories do begin, all right, I was in bed. It was, sort of fairly early in the morning, sort of, I don't know, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up, and I'm sort of a little bit of I like to snuggle in when I first wake up, and I like to get up slowly. I like to wake up slowly, but as I woke up and I eyed the clock, and I thought, oh, it's far too early to get up yet. But anyway, I sort of roll over onto my back to sort of snuggle down again. As I roll over onto my back, I see this beautiful angel child standing, looking at me. The most gorgeous little creature. She had blonde, curly hair. She was perhaps, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years old maybe, and she had a thumb in her mouth, and she was just standing in front of me sucking her thumb. And I smiled at her, and I said hello, who are you? I know it's weird, isn't it weird? But anyway, this is my life, right? I'm telling you about my life. So I said to her, hello, who are you? And she sort of looked at me, and she blinked, and she sucked her thumb a little bit, and I realized that she was shy, and so I said to her, so how old are you? And she sort of holds up 3 fingers, and she whispers to me, I'm nearly 3. And I said, so who are you? And she had a lisp, this beautiful lisp, and she said, she just looked at me, she said, my mum is coming to see you today. I said, really? And in my mind, I'm thinking, yes, I have 2 ladies coming to see me this morning. They have booked a consultation with me. So I said, really? So she said, yes. She said, my mum is coming to see you. So I said, so, well, that's great. I said, will you be there when she comes to see me? And she nods, sucks her thumb. And then I said to her, is there anything you would like me to tell your mummy when she comes today? And she just looks at me intently, continues sucking her thumb, and then I said it again, is there anything, would you like me to tell Mummy something when she comes? And she sort of nods, and she takes her thumb out of her mouth with a wet slurpy plop, and she looks at me and she says, tell my Mummy about the tiger, tell my Mummy about the tiger. So I think this is a weird situation. Okay, I say, so can you tell me a little bit about the tiger? Can you help me out here so I can tell Mama? And she looks at me again, and she shakes her head, and she just looks at me and she says, just tell Mama about the tiger. And off she goes. Disappeared. 1 minute she's there, the next minute she's gone. Now, is this my imagination? Am I having a weird dream? Did I not wake up yet properly? But of course I knew that she was there, and I was excited because I thought, oh, you know, I've got something to work with now. So later on that day, quite a bit later on that day, the doorbell rings, and in walk these two lovely young women. One had really, really black hair all the way down her back, and the other one had sort of short blonde curly hair. Now, I did say to you that this little girl had blonde curly hair. So as most of you would, I'm sure, think, that's the blonde haired lady is the little girl's mummy. But okay, so they go into the study, and I go in after them, and we sit down and I explain what we're going to do. And you can see they're a bit fidgety, you can see they're a little bit nervous. But the one with the dark hair is much bolder than the other, and sort of has a little bit of an attitude, you can see. You know, I'm thinking, well, you know, we'll just take it as it comes. As I begin to work, I see this darling little angel child standing between the two ladies. Now, is it my imagination, or is she standing just a bit closer to the lady with the dark hair, or is she, you know, who is this child's mother? Why have they come today? What do they want from me? So they're obviously not going to tell me a thing, and that's how I like it, really. I don't really want you to tell me anything about yourself. It doesn't matter to me. If it's going to work, it's going to work. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So I say to them both, I say, before I begin, I'm going to tell you what happened to me this morning. Now, I had no idea at this point anything about them, who they'd come for me to hopefully get hold of. I had no knowledge of anything. So I explained to them that I'd seen a little girl in my bedroom that morning when I woke up, and both women's eyes opened wide, and the lady with the blonde hair sort of started tears to drip down, but the black-haired lady was, well, you know, sort of had this slightly aggressive attitude, and it was almost as if she was saying to me, well, we'll wait and see. So I told them the whole story, and then I, you know, explained. I said she's probably 2.5, 3 years old, absolutely gorgeous little girl. I described her dress, the colour of the dress, and so on and so forth. And then the blonde-haired lady grabs hold of the hand of the dark-haired lady as I'm talking to them. And they both then begin to shake a little bit. They're obviously recognising something in what I've said, until, you know, the blonde-haired lady points to the dark-haired lady and says, I think that's her daughter. And the lady with the dark hair looks at me and she says, well, I did lose my daughter, and she was not quite 3 years old. And so then, with the help of Grey Eagle, I went on to tell them. At this point, I hadn't mentioned the tiger, by the way. At this point, Grey Eagle, with the help of Grey Eagle, I went on to say how this little girl had passed into the spirit world, what had happened, and so on and so forth. And by the time we had finished, both ladies were crying. They were holding each other. They were ecstatic, because they had their evidence. The evidence was the description of the child, the age of the child, the blonde curly hair, how she'd passed, so on and so forth. And they were so happy with that. They were so content with that until, until. So I then look at the mother and I smile at her, I reach out, hold her hand, and I said, so I have something that your daughter wants me to say to you, because this morning when she came to my bedroom, she said to me, tell mummy about the tiger. Now, at this point, remember, both of these ladies are looking at me. I'm the guru, I'm this wonderful person. So they're not doubting me anymore, but they are confused. And so the mother says, no, I don't know anything about a tiger. And the little girl, who is a gorgeous little creature, sort of puts on a stubborn face, and she looks at me right in the eye and she says, tell my mummy about the tiger. So I say to the mother, trying to figure it out, well, does she have a soft toy, a tiger toy? Does she, did she love tigers? Is there a story about a tiger? And they're completely confused. They're shaking their heads. No, it's, nothing, no, we don't understand it at all. So now the shine is wearing off me a little bit, because they're looking at me now as if they're thinking, what is this woman talking about? So I say to this little girl, now look here, you've got to tell me a little bit more. Just tell me a little bit more so that your mama will understand what it is you're talking about. Can you do that for me? And she stands there, she's looking at me, and I said, come on, just give me a teeny little bit more information. And she is very stubborn, and she looks at me and she's stamping her feet and she says, it's the tiger. Tell her I know about the tiger. I saw the tiger. So I relay this to the ladies, and they're still bemused. They're completely confused by all of it. And then the little girl says, Mum, to her mother, Mummy, it happened this morning. It happened this morning outside. So I tell the mother, and suddenly she gasps. Even her friend doesn't know this. She gasps and she looks at me, and tears well in her eyes. And she looks at me and she says, but it can't be. That can't possibly be. And I said, well, apparently it is, because your daughter's telling me all about it. So, what do you think it is that she's talking about? And she said, well, this morning, she said, I got up early around 6 o'clock. Now remember, I was talking to her daughter at 6 o'clock this morning. So I got up early around 6 o'clock. I put on my dressing gown and my slippers, and I went out and I opened the door to pick up the milk. This was in the days when, in England certainly, we used to have milk delivered to our doorstep. I don't know if they still do, but that's what we used to do. She said, as I went to pick up the milk, this enormous ginger striped tom shot in front of me, between my legs, and shot off. She said it scared the heck out of me. And she said, for all the world, it looked like a baby tiger. And the little girl is nodding and saying, yes, and I saw you, Mummy, and I saw the tiger, and you saw the tiger. So now you know how much I can see you. That was the gem. That was that little piece of information that it's not possible for anyone to make it up. I'd have to be sitting outside with binoculars, or have somebody else sitting outside with binoculars for months, if not. And it's that little gem, that little piece of information that nobody, not anybody whatsoever, would know except the mother and her daughter who's watching her. And she didn't even tell her friend, and her friend is looking at her and she's looking at me, and they hold each other, and they cry, and then they get up and they're hugging me and they're crying. And the little girl just has one more thing to say to her mother. She's that little girl, 3 years old. She's got to be what, 30 now maybe. And she says to her mummy, I'm always here. I can always see you. I come and visit you all the time. And I just want you to know, on your birthdays, at Christmas, and she whispers, and even Mother's Day, I'm always there with you. So I thought you'd like that story. The end. I forgot to say the end, because as all good stories go, there is a beginning and a middle and an end. Actually, that story doesn't really end there, does it? It ended for me there, but for those ladies who went out sobbing and crying and holding on to each other, tears of joy, tears of elation, tears of confirmation, knowing that this little girl was in the car with them, in her home, sitting with her so often. Tears of the absolute knowledge that she thought she'd lost her daughter, but apparently no, she hadn't. And so, there we have it. I'm sure that even now, after all these years and all of the pain and the heartache, she's still with her mother. She still visits with her mother, and I just think it's such a joyful thing. So that is my Mother's Day gift to all of you who have lost your children. They do see, they do hear, they are with you. All of you who have children, thank goodness, or grandchildren, they are precious. They are treasures to us. Keep them safe to you. And all of you out there, have a lovely and a wonderful and a happy Mother's Day. Right, Michelle, did you like that story?
I love that story. That's probably one of my favorite stories of yours.
Okay. We're now going to take questions or comments or anything at all. I mean, unless I've stunned you all into silence, unless you've sort of sitting there still thinking about that story, I think it's a very emotional story. I think that, the worst kind of a loss, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm a mother and a grandmother, the worst kind of loss I think that anyone has to bear is the loss of a child. And, that has to be the hardest to deal with. So I thought for Mother's Day I would give you a little bit of insight into the absolute fact that we never lose our children, no matter what. In fact, Michelle, it just reminds me, I'd like to at some point tell the story of Hong Kong. Can you write it down? And the little boy in Hong Kong and the waterfall. I'll give you that little bit of a clue. If you out there listening, if you have your own story that you'd like to share with us, or if you if you just want to make a comment or just to write to us, please feel free. We do have our competition going. Our competition is in 2 parts. The first part is, please write and tell us what is the best advice that anybody has ever given to you. What was it and why? And the second part is, what is the best advice that you've ever given to anybody else? What was it and why? Please send your entries in to Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. Please put in the subject line competition. You can enter as many times as you would like, and we'll just at some point we'll be reading out some of the entries. I'm looking forward to it. You have until May 18th or 19th, let's say the 19th, because that is my birthday, and this is my birthday gift to all of you. So there's going to be lots of prizes, lots of prize winners out there. So I thought this year, as we're all sort of cooped up in our houses and we can't go out too much and the restaurants are still closed here in Florida, most of them anyway, You know, I'm not going to be going out and having a party anytime soon, so I thought, why not just instead of, because I shan't be receiving any gifts at all this year, so why not give some out? So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to give out quite a few gifts. Again, the competition is in two parts. The first part, what is the best advice that anyone gave to you? What was it and why? I'd love to know if you took it as well. But don't write a whole litany, please. We've only, you know, just sort of keep it simple, sweetie. Kiss. Keep it simple, sweetie. Now, and then the second part of the competition is, what is the best advice you think you might have given to somebody else? What was it and why, and so on. Give us a little bit of detail, because we do love to read a story. And entries to Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com, and I shall read every single one of the entries, and then I shall make my judgments, and let's have some fun. And you can send in as many entries as you like. Michelle, do we have anyone with a question or a comment? What is going on out there? I know I can see things flashing up on the screen, so let's go. Over to you then.
Okay. The first comment is from Dean.
Morning, Dean. Yes, it's in the book. I know it's in the book.
That's not even what he was going to say.
I love Dean. Go on.
He says, "Hi all, I was born on Mother's Day. What a present for my mom. Ha ha, May 13th. My grandma was born on the same day in the 1800s.
Wow. Oh, how nice. Oh, what a nice connection. I have two brothers. They were born 2 years apart on exactly the same day. So they have the same birthdays. Just thought
my birthday.
Just thought I'd throw in that little tidbit. Go on, next, keep going.
So we have Bear Medicine Walker on.
Hi, darling.
And it says, "Morning, Miss Rosemary. Blessings to you on this beautiful Saturday morning. We have a couple people who have posted in Spanish and Italian, and I tried to respond with them that, you know, use the Google Translator."
Please, please, please. We love to hear from you, but we certainly can't read a foreign language. Please, before you send in your comment or question, please put it through Google Translate so that it comes out and we can actually read what it is that you're saying. We love the fact that you join us. We love the fact that you're here with us. I don't even know if you're understanding anything that I'm saying, but please, please, please Google Translate first. And then if you have a question, I can answer it for you. All right, keep going.
The next one was from Veronica.
Morning, Veronica.
She says, "Good morning. The Eagle and the Rose is my favorite book. It made me feel like I was not crazy."
Definitely. When I wrote it, I realised that I wasn't crazy either. Although I think, as you know, Veronica, if you've read that book, as you know, I did think I was crazy for a long, long time. Okay, keep going, Michelle.
Gabriella.
Good morning, Gabriella. I love that name.
"Hey, you don't never write books with a question mark. Sorry for my English. I love you." So I think she's asking if you're still writing books.
Yes, I'm still writing, and I'm working on the new book, Grey Eagle Speaks. It is the best. It's like, as a friend of mine put it, it's like drinking rich, dark chocolate. When you read it, it's just so beautiful. Grey Eagle's words. Lots of people have contributed to this book, by the way. Lots of people have sent in questions. I've sat with a few people, actually sat with them and asked questions, and Grey Eagle has been present during those times. And we've got a whole variety of questions asked by different people, and of course myself as well. So it's I'm working on that. I don't know when it's going to be finished. I don't know. And I'm also, of course, writing children's books as well. So I'll let you know when they're out. Next, Michelle.
Sue is on.
Good morning, Sue.
And it says, "That book was the one that woke me up and gave me permission to be honest about who I was."
Oh, brilliant, Sue. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
The Eagle and the Rose is such an amazing book.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Do you know, I will tell you this little tidbit for those of you who don't know, but that book, The Eagle and the Rose, still is now. It is one of the, well, first of all, it's a classic. It's sort of, 20, what did I say, 26 years old or something now? Maybe not, 24 years old, whatever, 24 years old. All right. And 24 years since it was published, it is a classic. It's still in bookstores. You can still buy it pretty much anywhere. You can certainly buy it from me too if you email me. It's the book that many people will lay in the coffin of their loved ones who have been moved by it or touched by it. I know that book has been placed in the coffins of many people all around the world, and it's been used in hospitals, it's been used in homes, and I feel so humbled and so grateful that this book has had the impact that it has had on so many thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. So thank you, Veronica, for sharing that with me. Next.
Josephine is on.
Good morning, Josephine.
And she says, it's good to see you. Love your kind voice.
Oh.
Read your books 20 years ago. She also has a consultation with us in June.
Oh, okay.
And she'd like to know if you have any messages from her son.
No, wait. You have to wait, my lovely. It would. I don't want to do it because it would spoil it. Don't tell me any more about you. Okay, moving on. If you've got a consultation in June, it's not that long away, Be patient, my darling. So, next.
I think it's Prosy.
Go ahead.
Said that's a beautiful incident.
I think she's talking about
the story.
The story. Thank you, darling. We don't know whether you're Prosy or Prosy or Prosy or whatever it is.
P-R-A-S-I.
P-R-A-S, Prasy, I think. We're not sure, but we hope we're getting it right. We do hope we're getting it right. Yeah.
We definitely try.
Yeah.
Sue said that she absolutely loves the retelling of The Tiger.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. As I've said, I know not everyone likes to do this, but if I get a whiff of the idea that an author that I like is reading their book, even if I might have read the book a dozen times, but if it's read by the author, you kind of get those sort of little extra feelings and the intonation, the emphasis in the voice on certain things, and it sort of brings the story more to life, I think. So thank you for that, my lovely. Keep going, Michelle.
The next comment is from Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, good morning. I hope it's Jeff.
It is. It says, for me, the experience my son coming through Rosemary at consult changed my life. Healing is possible and real. To know our relatives are present and see us is very reassuring.
Yeah, I got to ask Jeff, can we use your story, please? I know he'll say yes. Can you put down Jeff's story? Jeff and Andrea's story for me as well on that little list, please, Michelle. You can't say no, Jeff. I know you're not going to say no to me, but I would like to tell that story because it was a bit of a wow story. Another one with another little gem in there about the window. Do you remember, Jeff? Of course you remember. I know you do. So, Michelle, keep going.
Hold on. I only have one hand right this moment. I'm working on it.
Okay.
Bernadette says hello.
Morning, Bernadette.
Alan says that's a lovely story.
Thank you. Thank you. Good Mother's Day story, don't you think? I think.
Donna says, I have loved your book for many years.
Oh, thanks, Donna.
Oh, we actually had a visitor from my sister. She says, that was a great story.
Oh.
With exclamations.
Which sister would this be?
Melissa,
I
the
know.
one that
I'm just
is home to
checking.
my dad.
I'm just checking. Hi, Melissa. I'm glad you like that story. Wait till next week. Ooh, we've got some good stories to tell. Yes, keep going, Michelle. I love
Mary
story
said,
time.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
She says, I've had animalistic spiritual experiences lately.
Who is this?
Please, Mary.
Mary. Good morning, Mary.
She says, please ask Grey Eagle if he has any advice about that or anything.
Yes, the advice is listen carefully, be critical, and use the 3-time rule. There you go, Mary. That should help you. Keep going. Yeah. Next.
Veronica says that today would have been her father's birthday.
Well, don't forget to celebrate. Then make a cake if you can. I've got a great recipe for a chocolate cake, a lemon cake, a coconut cake, you name it cake. I've got all kinds of recipes for all kinds of cakes. But make a cake, celebrate, or if you can't make a cake, at least have a nice dinner and celebrate. I celebrate my father's birthday. I always like to sort of send him a little, hi daddy and a happy birthday. He was born on March 13th. He died on April 13th. So it's like he was born on the 13th, died on the 13th, 13 months between sort of thing. The number 13 obviously was very prevalent as far as my father was concerned. So, not that I'm a numerologist, and don't bombard me with questions about numbers because I know nothing about it. But anyway, Michelle, keep going.
Sue says that she's very confused about her place in this life. She says, will I figure out where my strength and needs lies?
I think for so many of us, Sue, and I think this applies to you too, we tend to chase our tail a little bit, don't we? Because we're trying to please this person or we're trying to please this person. We get pulled into other people's manipulations, and we are often pulled different ways because of guilt and because of worries and concerns. You are relating to me now, I hope. And what we have to do, and I'm doing this with my students even as we speak, I'm going to say to you, make an ambition board. Get a big piece of card, nice clean white piece of card, and make a border, a good deep border all the way around it, and colour it in with lots of different bright, beautiful, happy colours. And then sit down and think carefully. Take some time to do this. Think carefully of up to 5 things that you want in your life. Now, they could be material things. They could be, it could be a baby, for instance. It could be $5,000 in the bank. It could be a happy relationship. It could be a good job. Think carefully. And then before you put them on the board, write them down, look at them, think again, and put them in an order of priority. And then when you're happy with that, get a black marker, felt tip marker, and write in order your preference of what you think is going to make you happy. Then you go away, you pin it on a wall somewhere. It can be in your bathroom, on your bathroom door, bedroom. It has to be somewhere where you're going to go into that room every day. It can't be in a room you don't ever visit. So put it up on the wall. And then what will happen is, it's like that lovely picture. You buy a gorgeous picture and you sort of, you look at it and you think and you enjoy it for a while, and then all of a sudden, it's sort of, you forget about it. And it's only every now and again that you look at it and remember how much you liked it. But what happens is your subconscious will register every single time you see that poster, and every time you see your ambitions that are in the center of that card. And very slowly your subconscious will help you, will work with you to achieve those things. It gives you a focus. you've got to do something that is purely for you. And when you write those things inside your ambition board, make sure that these are things that you're not asking for anybody else, you're asking purely for you. It is a selfish ambitions board, and I advocate selfishness as long as you don't hurt or harm anyone else or neglect anyone else while you are achieving your ambitions. We should feed ourselves, we should think about ourselves, we should give ourselves what we need and what is necessary for our growth. So I think stop allowing other people to manipulate you, stop allowing other people's wants and needs to get in the way and confusing you as to what it is that you need. Focus, make your ambitions board, stick it up somewhere and let it work for you. I promise you, don't expect it to work in 3 months or 6 months or something, but I promise you it will work as long as every now and again you focus. But your subconscious will register it. Every single time you go into that room, your subconscious will register that it's there, and your subconscious will remind you on a subconscious level that these are your goals, these are your aims, and your subconscious will help you to get there. Let's have another question or comment, Michelle.
Veronica would like to know, have you been to Burlington, Vermont?
Many times. My friend Chris lives in Burlington, Vermont. Yes, the answer is yes. It's cold though. It's cold. It's a nice little town though. I do like it, but it's way too cold for me. I'd love to know why you ask. Maybe you think you've seen me there, and you might have, because my friend Chris lives there. Although when we visit now, she comes to Florida because it makes more sense to me. Keep going, Michelle.
Jeff said he loves the story today, and of course you can use his story.
Thank you, my darling.
Flo would like to know, hi Rosemary.
Morning, Flo.
Any tour planned in France?
Oh, you invite me, I'll come. You have to organise it all though. I'd love to go to France. When all the we were supposed to be going to Italy this year and then to England. It might still come about. I am hopeful. I know some of you say, well, you're psychic, don't you know? No, I don't actually, because the places that one place anyway that I was going to may not be available right now because of all of this stuff that's going on. But I'm still hopeful. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed. And Italy is not that far away from France now, is it? My daughter likes to go to Paris, so there you have it. Keep going, Michelle.
Donna said she remembers seeing you on Oprah so many years ago, and it was amazing.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. It was a weird show. It was a very weird show. Oprah was warned, actually, so I'll tell you this little tidbit. You see, this is when we do story time, you hear all the things that happen in the background there, you know, the things that you don't see because you're just watching the show. But Oprah, unfortunately, for all of us, I know that she feels differently now, but she had whoever it was, not a manager, but whoever it was who was helping with the show, she was advised not to be seen to be getting too involved or too interested or too friendly in this subject. So she sort of kept herself a little bit reserved, but she was lovely, and thank you for that. We did have a great time, yes. And I have another story to tell you about the Oprah show. Put the Oprah show down.
I did, because I figured you had one.
I will give you a background story that will blow your minds. Right, keep going, Michelle.
Mary Lou said,
Morning, Mary Lou.
The messages you gave me from my mom and dad changed my life to bring me out of a very low point in my life, and thank you.
You know, Mary Lou, I know you're going to let me, because we're going to lunch later. I'm surprised you're watching this show. I'm all ready. You can see I'm all ready to go. We're not, don't worry everybody, we're not going out into the COVID mass there, but we are going to have some lunch. But Mary Lou's story of how we met is actually a really great story. If she allows me to if she allows me to tell it. Can you put it down, Michelle? I'll convince her to let me tell it. I know she will. Keep going. And thank you for that, Michelle. Mary Lou, I mean. Keep going. How are we doing? I'd love to know what's going on in your house.
I'm on the giggles, sorry. Douglas says this works. If not directly, you will... Oh, forget that. We're not reading that.
What? No,
I think that was
no. Let's read it, please. Douglas says...
Douglas says this works. If not directly, you will gain benefits.
Oh, thank you, Douglas. We're not quite sure what you mean, but thank you very much, and thank you for joining the show. Keep moving on. We try to you know, listen to everyone. Yep.
Cheryl says, "Hello, Rosemary."
Hi, Cheryl.
She would like to know if Grey Eagle would ever have a portrait done of him.
I actually have a portrait of Grey Eagle. Aha. So there you have it. I do have one, and it was he was part of the delegation that all those years ago in 1800 and something. I can't remember the date now. How terrible am I? When the Native Americans went to a meeting with all of the white chiefs, who then proceeded to tell them lots and lots of lies and so on and so forth, but they were trying to get the tribes to join forces. Unfortunately, the whole thing, you know, the Native Americans actually trusted, because, you know, the rule in the Native American culture was, when you said something, it was, you know, there are something like, I can't remember now how many words, there are certain words in our language that are not in the Native American language. One of those words is promise. Another is weed, another is it. There are lots of different words, but the word promise, there was no such word, because when you said you would do something, you simply did it. So there was no need to say, I promise I will do it, because once it was said, it was done. And unfortunately, and we all know this now, I'm not telling anything that isn't new, that's new. We know how badly the Native Americans were treated. We know that they had their land stolen from them. We know that they were given land and no taxes and all the rest of it for their casinos and so on and so forth, but it doesn't make up for what was done to them in any way, shape or form. And if you doubt what I'm saying, if you tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, please, why don't you watch the movie Soldier Blue? It's hard to get hold of a copy. It's a true story about a general who and his antics. That's all I'm going to say. If you have a weak stomach, please don't watch it. I know that the movie, there are two versions of this movie. One of them is more brutal than the other, but they kind of softened it because, you know. But I remember seeing that movie all those years ago. It's got to be at least 45 years, if not 50 years old. Soldier Blue, one of the most stunning and moving and life-changing movies that I ever saw. Moving on, Michelle.
Donna would like to know how somebody would become a student of yours.
You write in. Email me, rosemary@rosemaryantaylor.com, and we put you on a list. You might have to wait a while, but we put you on a list, and we send you all of the information, and when a new class begins, that's when you can join. That's pretty much it. See how easy it is. But make sure when you send the email that you put it in the subject line classes, because whatever you're writing me about, please understand Michelle needs help with it. We get loads and loads of emails all the time, and it's great if she can have a subject line and then she can put things into folders and do what she has to do much more efficiently. Yes, Michelle, keep going. I'm going to keep going if you're going to keep going a little bit longer. I know it's Saturday. I know
as long as you're ready.
You've got to mow the lawn, so I
do have to mow the lawn, but I'm still going to have to mow the lawn whether we finish in 2 minutes or we finish in 20.
Okay, all right. Well, we've got a little bit of time left, so.
Sue, just as I got ready to read her comment, somebody commented and shot her comment right off the screen. Says, how funny that you mentioned selfish when creating an ambition board. This is my biggest fear, being selfish. So thank you very much. Ambition board it is.
Good.
And she also would like to know if you know who walks with her.
Well, I'm given time. I would definitely know right now. I'm going to say you know perfectly well who walks with you. All you're looking for is that confirmation, aren't you? That little gem. I'll just tell you that you're absolutely right. Going back to the selfishness thing, let me explain something to everybody here. I'm not suggesting that you're selfish in as much as that you walk all over everyone else or you don't take care to listen to other people. I am saying that in order to feed your soul, you have to feed you first in order to be strong enough to be able to feed other people. But here is a little tidbit for you all. Okay, imagine you've got two people, right? One on either side of you. One wants to go and see this movie, another one wants to go and see this movie. You're all supposed to be going out together, right? You can please this person here, or you can please this person here, but the only way to make sure that you please someone in certain situations is simply to please yourself. Do not be afraid to do that, because if you try and please this person isn't pleased. If you try and please this person isn't pleased. So please, there are moments, there are times in your life when you simply just have to say, guess what, I'm going to be selfish. I'm pleasing myself. This is what I'm doing today. And you would be amazed, because it builds you up, it gives you strength, it builds up your confidence. I'm not suggesting walking all over other people or hurting other people in order to do that. But, I advocate selfishness because I see that without it, we can be absolutely destroyed by running around after everyone else, compromising for everybody else's sake and being manipulated, allowing ourselves to be manipulated over all sorts of ridiculous things. Next, Michelle.
All right, the next one that we have is loading away. Mary Lou said, of course.
Good.
Randy said, how did you meet Mary Lou? She said you can tell the story.
It's a Saturday morning story time story. It's that good. And by the way, Michelle, put the circus story down as well, because Mary Lou came with me to that as well. Yes. Okay. We keep adding up all these stories every time.
I'm gonna have to just get a book and start writing them in a notebook so that we keep track of them, because my calendar is trash now.
Oh, well, I'm actually when you send the list to me, I'm just copying and pasting and putting into a pages folder. So
I'm just gonna get a notebook and I'll write them all out that way.
Okay, keep going. Who's next? Who have we got next?
Claudia says, hi, my dear friend. I'm Claudia Thoma's mom.
Whose mom?
Claudia Thoma, Thoma.
I think this is Claudia. This is Tomas' mom. I think she'll let me know, and if it is, how lovely, lovely, lovely to hear from you. If it isn't, it's still lovely to hear from you. But I think this is Claudia, Tomas' mom, and I want to know how he's doing. So let me know. Keep going, and we want to tell Tomas' story too. Can we tell the story of Tomas? Right. Yes. Keep going.
Whatever you want, you're the boss.
Well, that is the best Earth Angel story ever. And Claudia, if you're listening, what a beautiful story. What a beautiful mummy you are. I should have told that story, because that's another great Mother's Day story of a mother who literally, talk about selflessness, has literally given her life for this boy. And I won't tell you that story anymore. It's for another Saturday. Keep going, Michelle.
Next one is Mary, and she says, thank you for being so giving.
It's really my pleasure.
Ivy said, hi, Rosemary.
Morning, Ivy. We got lots of people on this morning.
We do. It says, thanks for making time to tell us these stories. Do you see spirits as if they are just like us? Question mark, love and blessings.
Okay, Michelle is going to, she's laughing probably now. I don't see spirits, except maybe in a glass of vodka or an occasional rum and coke or brandy and coke. I see people. I see people in the spirit world, and yes, my darling, they do look just like us. We have, when we pass from this earth plane into the spirit world, what we take with us, or if we're astral traveling or whatever, we move out of our body and we don't become this wispy nothing at all. We have what is known as the etheric body. ETHERIC, etheric, yes. The etheric or spirit body. And it amazes me, actually, and it has amazed me for all of the years that I've been working, that people don't even use the word etheric. They use the word ethereal, but the etheric body, or the spirit body, or if you like, the ethereal body, is the same shape and the same size and everything as we are. And I can hear some of you thinking, oh, I thought it was going to lose weight, but you know what I'm saying. It's the same shape and size and so on. However, it is very different in one way. The human body is made up of whatever, how much percentage? Is it 80-something% liquid, fluid?
84% water.
84% water. So really, it's an illusion, isn't it? It's a wonder we're not dripping all over the place, don't you think? But it is a fact that that's how our physical body is made up. The etheric body, the spirit body, is much more solid and much more real. We are living on this earth of ours, we are living in an illusionary world, and maybe we'll tell a story of perhaps the story of when I woke up in the night one night and I opened my eyes and there were two men standing at my bedroom door. Can you write that one down, Michelle? I don't know how you're going to put that one in there, but that's that's a good story. Yes, it's a really good story. Anyway, moving on. You see, all these things sort of, they come into your mind. You think, oh gosh, we're not going to have enough stories, and then they just keep piling. Anything else going on, Michelle?
Yes. Cheryl says, I'm sorry I have upset you, but I do believe what you have stated and know, and I am so glad I got some of the story.
What? Can you read that to me again?
She says, Cheryl said, I'm sorry I have upset you, but I do believe what you have stated, and I'm so glad I got some of the story.
Darling, you didn't upset me. I don't know why you would think that you did upset me, because you certainly did not upset me. We love having anybody and everybody here, and any question is a valid question. Any comment is a valid comment, and I can't think for 1 minute why you think that you've upset me. Maybe you could...
The only thing that I found so far is that she asked if Greg could have a portrait done of him, and then you went into the soldier blue.
Oh, darling, no. I do have... No. You've not upset me at all. It's just, no. Why would you? And I think... Let me say something to you, Cheryl. Nobody has ever asked me that question before, ever. And, actually it put a little idea, a little seed in my head here that I have a very good friend of mine who is a fabulous artist. And, she might actually want to, and she knows Grey Eagle really well. She's a student of mine, and she's probably one of my oldest. That doesn't mean she's decrepit. She's one of my longest, probably one of my first students ever. She's an absolutely brilliant artist. She's doing some work for me on my children's storybooks, and she's remarkable. I think I might throw that at her and see what she has to say about it. So there's, you see, your idea is a great one, and you did not upset me in any way, shape or form. In fact, you gave me a fantastic idea. There you are. Next, Michelle.
All right. So now we are.
All right.
Yes, that is Tomas's mom.
Yay, Claudia. I love you. How lovely. I don't know that you're celebrating Mother's Day tomorrow, because I don't think it is Mother's Day in Italy. But anyway, I'm so happy that you've joined us. Keep going, Michelle.
Josephine said, sorry for inappropriately asking guidance before my consult. Looking forward to speaking with you.
Josephine, it wasn't inappropriate. I totally get it, and I love you for it. You're obviously very eager. Don't worry, darling. It'll be fine. Never apologize for such a thing. Yeah.
Heath.
Good morning.
Are you ready?
Keith.
Heath, not Keith.
Heath. Good morning, Heath. Sorry.
Says, you are simply amazing. Love your energy. Gotta go now. It's evening here. It's supper time. We'll catch you again next time.
Oh, thank you, darling, and thank you for joining us. Thank you. We got to go in a minute as well. Let's see.
Yeah, the yard's yelling at me.
Pardon?
I said my yard's yelling at me.
Okay. couple
Sue
more
said,
and then we're done then, Michelle.
Sue said that she thanks you for the clarification of selfish.
You are very welcome.
Josephine said, it's interesting that you mentioned manipulation. I do feel it in my life and want to be free from it. She wants to talk to you about it during her consult.
I was just going, you took the words out of my mouth. We shall talk about it. Now, we're done. Just a quick reminder again of the competition. Please, I'd love as many entries as you can put out there. We're going to have lots of prizes and lots of winners. I'm just going to be just dishing them out. So, first part of the competition, please. What is the best advice that was ever given to you? Did you take it? What was it? Right? Second part of the competition, what was the best advice you think you ever gave anybody else? And the same thing, what was it, and did they take it? Or, you know, we want a little bit of the history there of what happened. Please don't write a huge, massive amount, but, you know, we just, you know, would love to know what it was. You can put in as many entries as you like. You've got until May 19th, which is a week next Tuesday, according to my grandson. And it's my birthday, and I'll cry. I was not shan't cry on my birthday. I should be happy on my birthday. But all right, if you want to know anything more about our books, our healing meditation, what am I doing here? Our meditation
CDs.
Thank you. Meditation CDs. You can find them on iTunes. Or you can write into us and ask us. The first one is A Journey Towards Healing, which is an amazing guided meditation. And the second one, which is coming out next week, is A Garden of Souls. And if you want to know any more about us, books, consultations, healing, anything at all, please email us, rosemary@rosemaryantaltair.com. If you want to be put on our mailing list, you must ask us to be put on. So please write to us, ask us, please put me on the mailing list, and we shall do absolutely that. If you would, I'm going to ask something of all of you, and all of you who have enjoyed yourselves this morning, and all of you who are joining in with our regular weekly story times and all the other stuff that we do. Can you please share? I probably amazed Michelle because I've said it without even being prompted to say it. You can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on my Facebook page. I've got 3 Facebook pages. The healing session will be on Wednesday at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be having a healing session on the healing Facebook page. Everything is Attitude will be on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Spirit World Sees All Thursday morning will be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where it's a whole show of, you get the questions and I give you the answers and we tell stories and all the rest of it anyway. And then of course we're right back to story time next Saturday. If you can't join me in the middle, please join me again for our story time next week. And again, please I'd love it if you'd share. Would you please share, because there are so many of your friends, your family, who I know are going to be inspired by the stories that you can hear from me. So I just want to inspire you. Claudia, I love you. I love all of you. My love to all of you, and my love to Tomas. And please, everybody, it is Mother's Day in the USA. It is not Mother's Day in England, but hey, you don't need a Mother's Day to have a wonderful day, do you? Just don't need an excuse. Just have a fabulous and a wonderful Sunday, everybody. And I shall see you again throughout the week, and if not, next Saturday, same time, same place. In the meantime, have a very blessed rest of the day and have a very blessed weekend.